My iPhone 16e is possibly my favourite iPhone that I've ever owned and used. It's not the most expensive, it's not the fanciest, it's not the most feature-packed, but what the iPhone 16 is an honest iPhone. It shows us what an iPhone can be without being filled up with all these gimmicky features that we rarely use or even forget are there in the first place. And all of that makes you wonder, is the iPhone 16e the start of a brand new era of iPhone? I'm David, and this is D-Talking Tech. The iPhone 16e is different. It's not about data and spec sheets. It's not about me sitting here and giving you numbers. It's about using it. This phone is crying out to be used. There was so much bias against the iPhone 16e when it was launched. I found it really frustrating. I wondered if it was me that was wrong. I got mine more or less the day that it came out. And immediately it struck me as being a really good phone for what it is. It's not trying to be something that it's not. And I find that really refreshing. There's so much pretension in the tech review world. And I just found it annoying that these larger creators were coming down so hard on a phone that they clearly never ever used. What you need to do with the iPhone 16e is to spend time with it. Then its character and its strengths come out. From the get-go, it was quite clear where Apple were pitching the iPhone 16e. It was only available in 2 colours, and it was only available in 3 configs of 128, 256 or 512. That was it. You didn't have any other options to make. It was a simple, no-frills iPhone. And it represents a return to kind of that minimal, simple, clean style of design that iPhones and Apple have been synonymous with over the years. And that switch in design styles isn't only relevant to the world of smartphones. If you look at cars, for instance, over the past few years, everything on cars has moved over to being on a touchscreen because we can. And how annoying is it to try and set the temperature in the cabin of your car by using sliders on a touchscreen? It's much easier and much better to have tactile, twitchy, touchy buttons that you can actually use. And the car manufacturers have listened to the feedback, and now we're getting more physical buttons back in our cars. And I think that same change is sweeping through certainly the world of iPhones and maybe smartphones in general. We've proven how much we can get on our phones. We've proven how clever we can be, but now it's time to be honest with ourselves as to what we actually use our phones for. I know it seems that iPhones have been with us forever, but when you remind yourself it's less than 2 decades they've been part of our daily life, we have come on so far. And yes, we've been mighty clever in all the features that we've managed to pack onto our phones. But how many of those do you actually use every day or even 2 or 3 times a week? If I'm honest with you, my iPhone is generally used more as a glorified iPod than anything else. I spend more time on my iPhone using it to listen to podcasts and music than anything else. Most other tasks I use the iPad Pro for, or one of my Macs. Complicated has got boring. It's time to strip back and get back to basics. And I think that's the route we're going with the 16e, and that's why people are finding it so appealing. Whenever I sit down and make a video about the iPhone 16, there's a few key points I need to touch on. The first of those being price, £599. It's too expensive. Well, let's unpack that, shall we? When you buy an Apple phone, an iPhone, an iPad, a Mac, you're undeniably buying quality. You're buying something with legacy, a history to it. You're buying something tangible, and that matters. Now, although other manufacturers have recently caught up with long software support, Apple was the first company to offer these crazy 5, 6, 7 year software security updates on their devices, which means that their products are going to last for years and years down the line, which does make them value for money. And okay, Apple's products are so good at the moment, their hardware certainly, that it's their problem trying to convince us to change. We know they're going to last, they know they're going to last, but that's part of what you buy into. And also, when you buy an Apple device, be it an iPad, an iPhone, a Mac, you've also got physical presence on the high street. You have got somewhere you can go and talk to somebody about a problem that you might have. And that is invaluable. Now, of course, all of these costs have to be absorbed somewhere into the price we pay, but I think they're costs worth paying. Now, when you look at the cost, very few people are going to go and buy the 16e outright. Most of the phones that land in our hands are going to come to us in one of 3 ways. It's either going to be an upgrade deal from your carrier supplier. It's going to be you walk into an Apple store and take the 2-year finance credit that they're giving, which is 0 rated, but I think it works out to £24, £25 a month. Or, if you're very lucky, it's going to come from your employer. These are going to be huge in the corporate world. And when people have got their iPhone 16es in their hand, they are going to use them and use them and use them. I bet you, years down the line, we'll hear people using them that are 7, 8, 9 years old. And you're telling me that a price of £599 doesn't represent good value all those years down the line? I beg to differ. I think they do represent fair value for money, if not good value for money. And one other thing as well, you need to remember the kind of people, I'm not for one moment saying, I'm never going to say that the 16E is for youngsters, is for old people, is for tech Luddites. It's not. It's a great phone. I use mine all the time, often more than my 16 Pro Max. It's a great phone to use. What I would say is that the target audience that this phone is going to land with, they're probably not as interested in getting a new iPhone every year. They're not as interested in getting the new tech every year. What they want is familiarity. You know that feeling when you open your phone up, you know where all the icons are. You know how things work. You know where the apps are. That's what the user of this phone is going to want. And the 16E, I think, represents all of that by the bucket load. It is just a great phone to use. Do you remember that I said there were certain points I had to cover when I'm making a video about a 16E? One of those is the display. How can you possibly sell a phone for £599 in 2025 that's only got 60 Hz refresh rate display panel on it? Well, here's the thing. I'd rather buy into proven quality than to promises of glamour and glitz. With an iPhone, you know what you're getting. You're getting a 6.1-inch OLED XDR Super Retina display. It is quality all the way. It's color accurate, it's bright, and it's vibrant. You know what you're getting. Yes, it might only be 60 Hz, and on the spec sheet of another phone, it might say 120 Hz, but who's to say that 120 Hz will work smoothly? It could be stuttery and choppy. When I put my 16E down alongside my Pro Max, does the 16E look a poor cousin? No, it doesn't. On these smaller devices, the refresh rate doesn't matter quite as much anyway. It's not about spec sheets. I come back to the point that the 16E is all about actually using it. And leading on from the display, which I think is absolutely fine, brings me kind of on to battery life. Higher refresh rate panels will hit your battery more. They're going to drain the battery more. Something's got to power those pixels, and it's going to be a battery. Now, I know it sounds pretty nerdy to begin getting excited about a modem, but bear with me. I'm going to go into Nerd City and be proud of it. When Apple released the 16E, we'd heard that it had this C1 modem in it. Not much was made of it. Not even in their press release much was made of it. But it's been the most important development on this phone. It matters so much moving down the line. The C1 modem represents another step forward to Apple producing everything in-house that's going to go inside their iPhones. And when that becomes reality, it means that everything they're developing, from the OS, the chip to the software, everything is going to be optimized to give us the best power, the best efficiency, and the best speed. And they're getting closer and closer to that. Don't forget, this C1 modem is the first time that they put their own modem inside of a phone. And I'm sure they were using a 16E as a bit of a test bed. And the exciting thing is it's made this much difference this quickly. I can tell you that some of the standout features of using the 16E have been the day-and-a-half battery life that I'm getting, the call quality has been great, and the connectivity is fantastic as well. I've gone to some areas around me, I'm sure it's the same for you, known dead spots, where my Pro Max with the same SIM card in it won't get a signal. Put that SIM card into the 16E and I can make a call. Honestly, this C1 modem really does mark the start of possibly the future of something really, really special for iPhones. Now, also don't forget, this is as bad as it's ever going to be. It's their first iteration of it. It's only going to get better from here. And the exciting thing is we're supposed to be getting the iPhone Air later this year. And who's to say by then we won't have the C2 modem? We've been wondering how a phone that's only 5mm thick is going to fare with battery life. Well, now I think we've got a good idea. If it's running a C2 or even the C1 modem in it, we know how good the battery life can be. And also, there's supposed to be some Apple Intelligence features coming that are going to help monitor and track your battery life and help improve that as well. Now, if that's the way Apple Intelligence is going to go, aside of all the other things that we don't want, like Genemoji, if you can use Apple Intelligence to help track your battery life and improve your battery life and understand your battery life, that's the sort of Apple Intelligence that I want on my phone. I'm going to go on to talk about the camera next, but before doing that, if this is maybe one of the first of my videos you've seen and you're enjoying it, don't forget, hit that sub button hit. It really does make a difference. It just helps the channel grow that much quicker. And with WWDC just around the corner, I've got lots of content planned and I want to be here making videos for you week after week. So turn on notifications. It really does help me out. Now about that camera. We've only got one camera on a phone that costs £599. How can that possibly be the case? I'm going to bang on that same drum again. It's proven quality. It's a 48 megapixel Fusion 2-in-1 camera system that you get on the 16E. It's got an f1.6 26mm lens, which will give you either 24 or 48 megapixel images. You're going to get all sorts of features on here, don't forget, like photographic styles, night mode, burst mode, and a load of the AI tools for editing in the Photos app. In fact, a lot of the features you're getting on the 16E are exactly the same that I've got on my Pro Max. So what? I've got more cameras and more features in the photo setup on my 16 Pro Max. To be honest with you, it's almost confusing at times and almost baffling at times. And I love photography, and photography is part of what I do for a living, but it is confusing. The 16E strips all of that away and gives you what you need. Now, it's not all about how many cameras you've got on the back of your phone anyway. You've got to get the basics right. You need good lighting, good setup, good composition, And if you get those right, you can use virtually any camera and the pictures that you capture will be good. They'll be better. Just take time to get those basics right. I don't care if you've got 3 cameras, 2 cameras, or 1 camera. You need to pay attention to getting the basics right. It puts me in mind of somebody that would say to a chef, I love the food that's coming out of your oven. What oven do you use? It's not to do with the oven. It's to do with the chef. And it's the same with phones and cameras on phones. It's to do with how you use it, not how many cameras you've got. The camera on the 16E is perfectly good. It creates and captures memories. And that's what this phone is all about. I get back to that point. It's about using it. So what are you missing on an iPhone 16E? There's no MagSafe. Well, here's the thing. It surprises me how quickly I get used to not having MagSafe when I'm using the 16E compared to the Pro Max. Yeah, the Pro Max I charge on MagSafe just because it's there. But you don't have to charge a 16E as often. So that's not a big issue. And you can still Qi charge with a trickle charge overnight, put it on the stand overnight, and it'll be full of juice for the morning. And as I say, it'll last you for a day and a half. There's no ultra wideband on it, so you haven't got precision Find My. When was the last time you used precision Find My? It comes under that heading of things that are on the phone that you don't know are on the phone and things you don't need. It's bloat that you just don't need. Camera control and dynamic island. Okay, you haven't got those on the 16E. Let me break that down. Camera control, yes, on the Pro Max, I use the camera control button to launch the camera with. I find that convenient now. I've trained myself to use that, but I don't use it for any of the other feature sets on it. And as for Dynamic Island, I use it for getting to the media that I'm playing, if I want to pause out or see what track's playing, what podcast is playing, and for car parking sessions. But neither of those are majorly important to me on a day-to-day basis again. Yes, the notch is back on the 16E. Yes, the bezels are slightly thicker. But you know what? This 16E puts me in mind of the 13 Mini that everybody loves and everybody lamented when it went away. This phone, the kind of cheeky nature of it, that slightly thicker bezels and a notch, they just work. But you do get the action button, so you can map that to how many features you want. And also, you get the Face ID as well, which is more important to me to have those two than it would be to have MagSafe, to be honest with you. Those features, Face ID particularly, and also the action button, they're features that I will use. And there are those that will say, well, go and buy the iPhone 15, either new or refurbished from Apple's website. And I'd say, no, why buy something old when you can buy something new? And there's one big reason not to buy the 15, and that is that C1 modem. I know that sounds really tedious, that a modem can make that much difference, but it does. Speed, battery efficiency, power, everything about it, call quality, connectivity, it's made a huge difference. And don't forget, this is only its first iteration. Why buy something older when you can buy something new? When this phone was launched, we thought it was going to be called the S, and they called it the 16E. And who knows, maybe in the think tanks at Apple, it's the 16 Essential. They have given us the phone with the essentials on it. Now, I have probably had, 750 odd comments on the videos I've made about the 16E before. And you know what? Not one person that's actually gone and tried the 16E and lived with it has said, it's not for me. This phone wins everybody over when you start to use it. It's easy to hate on something. It's much harder to stand back and appreciate what we've been given. And this 16E could turn in not into a future classic, but also the start of a new future, of an era for iPhones moving forward. Now, if you've enjoyed me talking about the 16E in this video, there's a video for you to watch now where I show you how perfect a partner the 16E is with the iPad mini.